Right, lad. You have 4 minutes to outline your case. I hope people will stick to their times, as I suggested.
Fiar fáilte, Rev Hara. Welcome, Minister, and thanks for coming in person to take this commencement matter, and thank you, Cathaoirleach, for selecting it. Minister, I believe that the delay in progressing and delivering the Crossmolina flood defences on the ground is actually unacceptable and unbelievable. And people are very frustrated, very angry and very afraid. They were nearly flooded again the last weekend of August, and it came very, very close. And really, when I get a chance to set out for you the history of this, which I'm sure to an extent you will be familiar with, but it long predates your own tenure in office, you know, it begs a lot of questions. And I have no doubt you're going to come here today, Minister, and tell me it's an environmental issue, there's more investigation. But I want to ask you, Minister, is it acceptable, the length of delay and the sequence by which and the manner in which this has been dealt with by the OPW and consultants? Minister, I want to say one thing. You have come to Crossmolina and you have shown empathy with the people and you've given them hope. They have hope in you, Minister, that you're going to cut through the red tape, and by God, somebody needs to. Because, as I said, as far as I'm concerned, with the OPW right now, it's a case of Nero fiddled while Rome burnt, because they are not making any impact other than some minor minor pilot project where you have some floodgates on buildings. You know yourself, Minister, this flood defences for Crossmolina is under the Government Capital Investment Programme 2016 to 2021. There's money there for it. Why isn't it happening? Crossmolina flooded in 1989, 2006 and then in November and December 2015, and it has gone very near so many times. It has to be said the floodgates have helped, but people can see the limit of them, and now we're facing into a winter again. Minister, I'll even go back prior to the current option, flood defence option, which is there, which is a channel upstream between Navan Mountain and the town. Back in 2012, there was a feasibility study done by the OPW, and they had Ryan Hanley do a report, a scoping report, an EIA scoping report document, which they published in July 2014. And they basically, at that stage, said the flood defences were going to have to be walls either side of the river, and they'd have to raise the bridge somewhat. So that was July 2014, after a few years, and of course we had a catastrophic flooding in, as I said, both November and December. And we now are in a situation, Minister, where the reason people are so upset is that they have no insurance, Minister, and they can't sell their properties. I know of a case where a man, he can't sell it, he can't get money to do it up, and he got a letter from the council telling him he had a derelict site after it had been flood damaged. So this is what's going on. They then told us, Minister, that actually they couldn't go with the walls because it would interfere with the integrity of the bridge. They had to go back to the drawing board. So this is what they then came up with, this by-channel solution. And just to say, Minister, at a joint Oireachtas Climate Action Committee, we had the commissioners for the OPW in, we had Maurice Buckley, we had John Sydenham and we had others, and I asked them for commitment last October that we wouldn't face into another winter, which would be winter 2019, without the works being done. They assured me, they assured me that an environmental impact report was done in May 2018, and that they expected construction to begin now. Now, begin in summer 2019. That hasn't happened, Minister. I don't think these things are set in stone. But why, again and again, are we being put back because of environmental problems?
Sir.
I wish to thank the Senator for raising this matter today, and I welcome the opportunity to provide an update on the progress being made in relation to the proposed flood relief scheme for Crossmolina. I would like to say on the outset I fully appreciate the frustration of the local community in Senator Mulherin at the delays that have been arisen on this project. I can assure the Senator and the other members of the House that these delays have been legitimate technical issues that needed to be fully and properly examined. The main outstanding technical issues related to the finalised design of the additional in-stream flow control structure. This is required in order to minimise the environmental impact of the diversion channel on the River Deal. The required assessment and the ecological and the environmental constraints associated with the in-stream works that could be required for the proposed flow control structure are now nearing completion, and this will allow the detailed design of the project to be completed. The project team is ensured that any task that can be prioritised in parallel with the above environmental assessment will be prioritised in order to minimise any programme delays. It is anticipated that the detailed design and preparation of the relevant documentation should be completed to allow the proposed scheme to be submitted to the Minister of Public Expenditure before the end of this year. Following confirmation and the tendering, and it is expected that the scheme will progress to construction in the second half of 2020. Once the proposed scheme is confirmed, the OPW will contact landowners direct in order to provide information and advice prior to construction commencing. As the Senator knows, I completely understand the stress and the threat of flooding caused, and I am as anxious as anyone to ensure that the Crossmolina scheme is brought to construction state as quick as possible. We must ensure, however, that there is delivery of a scheme and to address all legislatives, including the Irish European environmental legislation, that I am sure you can appreciate. The delivery of a robust scheme that meets these standards and the needs of the local community is complex and cannot be rushed. Any breach of our obligations in relation to Irish European environmental legislation could halt the scheme and result in further delays. The option of dredging in the River Deal has already been given serious consideration as a measure to alleviate flooding in Crossmolina. Various dredging options have been examined. However, it has been found that dredging on its own would not reduce the flooding levels significantly to peripheral flooding of the properties in the town. Also, dredging is on the scale required to avoid flooding would have serious adverse impact on Garrett Bridge and would be very difficult to justify on environmental grounds given the protection status of the river. The most feasible solution is to proceed with the planned channel diversion option. As the Senator is aware, both the OPW and Mayo County Council, in collaboration with the local flood action group, have been proactive in implementing interim flood protection measures across Crossmolina pending on construction of the permanent defences. This includes the individual property protections and a number of minor work schemes, and I am advised that the floodgates have now been installed in over 100 properties under the IPP scheme. The OPW, I believe that the OPW has demonstrated its commitment to provide whatever interim protection measures that can be assured that this House that the OPW will continue to work constructively with Mayo County Council and local flood action group. I would like to finish by saying to the Crossmolina as a priority for me as a person that went down there, Senator, and as a person that you did say on your outset that a great number of years ago, you outlined the number of floodings that took place down there. Since I came into the Office of Public Works, I've prioritised Crossmolina. I've been working with Minister Ring and other TDs and yourself right across the area. But can I say to you, once we were down there and formally put the scheme on display, you are talking about a 10 million project. You are talking about 1.3 kilometres of a flood scheme and a diversion. This is not simple mathematics. Sometimes in politics, we go off and we listen to the outside. Everyone has the answers. But when you sit down to try and do the detail and put it out and make sure everything is done to correction, that every scheme that OPW gets involved with, first of all, we leave the place in a hell of a lot better than we found it, number one. Number two, there's never a scheme breached. We always work in conjunction with the local authorities and the local groups. People down in Crossmolina have been in contact with me, and only a few weeks ago, when you are right, when you stressed that you nearly flooded again, I was on the phone all night to Minister Ring and Deputy Cleary, outlining the levels, the heights, everything that's there. And I apologise that I didn't send you a text in relation to the levels. And I feel the concern of those people, as I do from you here today, but I can assure you that everything that I can do is being done at the present time.
Very solid response, so don't take too long now.
Yeah, just say,
I don't
thanks,
think there's too much more to say.
I won't take from your sincerity in this. Personally, Minister, I don't think it's acceptable. I think that even if it provides some relief, they should be going in there dredging it. There was an environmental impact report published in May 2018. There's been more environmental investigation, hydrological, geological investigation. Now, there has to be a balance struck between the people, the habitats, the wildlife, and the balance has not been struck, and it's going to be no comfort to people if they're flooded this winter, Minister. And I would ask that you relook at dredging. It's not a total solution. They accept that. It's not a longer-term solution. I had spoken with National Parks and Wildlife before, and they explained that it could be done in a sensitive way, this being an SAC and freshwater pearl mussel being present in the river, but this could all be accommodated. But the OPW didn't want to go for it. Now, the OPW have not stepped up to the plate here, and they gave me commitments which I presume they don't give lightly. They told me environmental work was done and dusted by the end of May. Now they're going on detailed design, and it's more and more and more. Can they make up their mind? It's going on way too long for the people of Crossmolina, and I think it's totally unacceptable and it's unbelievable, and that people are getting paid for this type of job.
Thank you.
Senator, I want to disagree with you totally.
Prime Minister, you were very detailed in your first response, so I allow you a supplementary. But
I have, Chair, I want to respond that I think it's very unfair of the Senator to criticise my department. Number one, we were working closely with County Council and all members saying it's easy to come in here today and start roaring and shouting and giving out. That might be a Facebook trend. I put people first in everything I ever done in this House, and I'll continue to do it. But I have to adhere to the law, to environmental studies. I was in May. I was down there, put up the scheme. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't flick your fingers and make this happen. There is a concerted we have to adhere to. I'm doing it, but I'm going to deliver. And plenty of people sat here and talked about Crossmolina and done nothing. I'm here delivering on it, and you just have to give us the extra bit of time to make sure it happens. I don't want people flooded. Never have and never will. Thank you.
Minister, now move on to the next item, and it's